John Wallace, Wild Game Cook here, and we're back with a dove recipe just before season. If you're looking to do something different with your doves this year, give this recipe a try. Whether you've got a lot of doves or maybe you don't have very many, just a handful, these dove stuffed mushrooms are going to be where it's at. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these portobello mushroom caps. You could also use, a little bit smaller size mushroom and stuff them with that if that's what you've got your hands on. But we're basically going to very simply marinate these doves. We're ultimately going to grill them, chunk them up. We're not going to chop them up really fine. We want to chunk them up so that we can still see and feel and taste those doves in these mushrooms. We're going to add a little bit of thick cut bacon chunks, just a little bit to help cut the earthiness of the mushrooms. We're going to add some cheese, a little red onion for some freshness, top it with some panko for some crunch. But we're ultimately going to grill these and stuff them with some gooey cheese, dove, bacon, garlic, all inside of mushrooms. Stay tuned. All right, so first we're going to marinate our doves. Told you we're going to keep it simple. What we do is we've got our doves here out of the vac seal bag, and we've drained all of the myoglobin, all the blood away from them so that we're left with a cleaner tasting dove. I'm just going to eyeball this, but we're basically just going to try to make enough marinade for this little bit of dove here. We're going to go with maybe a half a cup of olive oil, third of a cup. It doesn't have to be an exact science. We're going to add in about a clove worth of minced garlic. We're going to add just a tablespoon, a little bit goes a long way, of this W sauce, which is basically just Worcestershire sauce. This is going to add a little bit of flavor to the dove while not covering it up. We're going to add a little pinch of salt and pepper. Maybe 2 pinches. Red chili flake, you can add this afterwards. If you don't want to put it in your marinade, maybe you've got a house that has, they like spice, some don't. You can add this right on top of your mushroom as you put it on the grill. There's your spicy one. Here's your non-spicy one. So we're going to leave that to the side. That's it with the marinade. We're not going to look to do anything too terribly fancy. Just add a little bit of color, add a little bit of fat to these very lean dove breasts. A little salt, pepper, a little fresh garlic, olive oil. Stir this up, get good contact with all the pieces. And then toss this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. You could leave it in there for a couple hours. It's really up to you. It's not going to overpower the dove in any sort of way. But we've got them nice and coated. Again, we can handle some of the seasoning a little bit later in the process. We can season the mushroom. We can season some of the filling. So the key is here is to keep this dove prominent so that we're not covering it up with flavor. We're going to put this in the refrigerator and we'll see you back here in a little bit. While our dove is marinating, we can go ahead and prep some of our filling ingredients, prep our mushrooms. We went ahead and finely chopped up some red onion. Again, this is just for a little bit of freshness. You could omit this. You could use white onion. It just adds a little bit of crunch, a little bit of freshness to this very savory mushroom. Mushrooms. So in order to make these more palatable for those who may not love mushrooms, what we want to do is we want to remove the stem from these. We also want to go ahead and take a spoon, and we want to try to remove as many of these brown gills as possible. That's where a lot of that earthiness lives. Take your time so that you don't crush or break your mushroom. You do this right, you can keep it all inside here and not make a huge mess. You don't have to get everything, but it does go a long way into helping make it a little bit more meaty and less mushroomy, if you know what I mean. Clean it up a little bit, make those taste better. With mushrooms, they're filled a lot with water. So a lot of people, when they go to wash their mushrooms, they want to rinse them under the water, scrub them around. A little pro tip I learned by watching some Food Network and stuff in the past is just simply take a paper towel and wash off all that dirt. So you've got dirt there on your mushrooms, just simply over your little container. Be very careful, but just kind of rub the dirt off. That way you're not adding any additional moisture to your mushrooms, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to dry them out. We're trying to soften them up. If you wanted, you could get inside these smaller mushrooms and try to get some of those ribs out. It's a little harder. Again, this is not a required step, But if you're looking to make them a little bit more palatable to those who may be a little bit questionable on whether or not they want to try mushrooms or not, make your hole a little bigger there, includes more stuffing and makes them taste a little cleaner, if you will, a little less earthy. I went ahead and went with thick cut bacon. Normally this is something I wouldn't buy, but I'm not looking to have some really crunchy, dry bacon in these mushrooms. I'm going to chop this up into little 1/4-inch chunks. I'm going to cook it to where there's still a little bit of give there. And that way it's just not adding a terrible amount of crunch, because we're going to have the panko on top. We've already got the red onion. I'm just looking to add some bacon flavor, add some richness again with some bacon chunks. Stay tuned. All right, we're going to go ahead and chunk up our bacon. The key to cooking bacon is to start in a cold pan. So we're going to drop this in here. I'm going to wash my hands. We're going to put this on the stove and brown it up slowly so that some of that fat melts and gets a good crisp, but still stays chewy. All right, we're going to go put this on the stove top, medium low. Just allow that to come up to temp slowly, render out some of that fat, and get a little crispy, still stay chewy. Stay tuned. One of the keys to cooking is seasoning every step. What we're going to do is we're going to put just a little bit of olive oil inside and around the outside of these mushrooms. We're going to go ahead and season them with salt and pepper. We're going to go ahead and put them on the grill so that they can pre-cook, get some of that moisture out, get a lot of the cooking process done. We're also going to be grilling the dove breast later. We're going to end up combining them, and they spend a lot less time melting all the ingredients together, so we're not going to overcook our dove. So we're simply just going to take a little bit of olive oil, maybe a tablespoon. If you get a little too much, it's not a big deal. Just simply pour it into the next one. Use your fingers, get a little messy if you'd like. The olive oil is going to act as a nice binder for the salt and pepper. Get all these done. I'm going to wash my hands. I'll show you how we're just going to season those lightly, and we'll get them on the grill here soon. All right, we're going to go ahead and take our salt and pepper. Simply just put a nice little pinch on the inside. Get a little bit on the outside if you'd like. All right, these are ready to hit the grill. We went ahead and pulled our dove out of the refrigerator. It's been about 20 minutes. We're going to go ahead and take this out to the grill. The grill is preheated to 400 degrees. We're going to allow these to cook. We'll bring them all inside and we'll assemble them later to finish them on the grill. All right, our grill's up to temp. We're going to go ahead and drop these big mushrooms on there. We're going to drop these doves on. Stir them up, make sure that seasoning's touching them real nice. All right, we've got these on there. We're going to go ahead, these are only going to take about a minute or two on each side, so we're going to try to keep them medium rare so they don't overcook. These are going to take probably 6 to 8 minutes in order to continue to render down and cook down and soften. I'm going to give these a flip. We're going to go for about another minute, and these are going to be done. We'll go ahead and pull these off. You'll start to notice these mushrooms are starting to gather some moisture on the inside of them. That's what we want to see. We're going to let these go for a few more minutes.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and pull these small ones off. They're losing a decent bit of moisture. Dump out any of that liquid. We're not gonna need it. We're going to let these big ones go for another couple of minutes. All right, we're going to pull these off, set them upside down so they continue to drain. Let's head back inside. All right, we've got our mushrooms, we've got our Dove. Go ahead and let these things dry out. We very well may take a paper towel, just dab them dry a little bit. Continue to soak up any of that excess moisture. I could eat these mushrooms as they are currently. The Dove, I may or may not have had one outside for scientific purposes. They're good as is. Just a simple olive oil, Worcestershire, salt and pepper, garlic. Can't beat it. Not everything has to be wrapped in bacon. We're using bacon today, but it's a little bit more of an accessory rather than the star of the dish. Today, mushrooms are obviously going to be a large part of the dish, but the Doves are going to be very prominent within it. So as these continue to cool down, my Doves have been resting for a good while. Again, as I mentioned, we want to chunk these up. You can see that there. I mean, they're still cooked nice medium. We don't want to mince them. We want to chop them up so that you're getting a chunk of Dove in every bite. We've got our bacon done. Again, still a little bit of fattiness there, a little bit of chew. Cook to your preference. I prefer it not to be well done. Our Dove pieces not overcooked. They're going to go back into our stuffing mixture. We've got our mushrooms with a lot of the fluid removed from them. They're going to be delicious. All right, now we're ready to assemble our mixture. What we've got here is about a half cup of cheese. You can use any kind of shredded cheese you want. This is mostly Monterey Jack, very mild, kind of melty cheese. We're going to throw in some red onion. This is about a quarter cup. We're going to throw in a clove or so of minced garlic. We're going to add in some chopped parsley. This chopped parsley just simply adds freshness. If you had dry herbs, that'd be fine as well. Fresh really goes a long way here. You could do without it. It's just going to be a very rich, heavy appetizer slash entree. Again, this could be an appetizer. This could be an entree. These portobello mushroom caps are no joke. They're very filling. Again, just a tablespoon or two of that fresh parsley. We're going to add in a pinch or two of salt and pepper, nothing too crazy. We're going to go ahead and add in our bacon. I may not even use all that. I don't want it to overpower. The star of the dish, this Dove. Again, we can add our spice, our red chili flake now. We can add it later. I'm going to add it now before I forget. Not going to go too crazy. Just add a little bit there. Again, to help cut the fat, the richness of this dish. As you can see, the Dove is quite prominent. That's what we want here. We're not trying to hide it. Dove tastes phenomenal, especially if you've treated it well, you haven't overcooked it. Let's just give this a taste. It's incredibly good. It's incredibly simple. Most of these ingredients are very, very common. We're going to top it with some panko to give it a little bit of crunch. So let's start stuffing these mushrooms. There's our mixture there.
Again, nice, well balanced. The Dove is up front so you can see it. It's not hidden. Looking forward to putting these together.
All right, we're simply going to take our mixture and we're going to pile it into these mushrooms. Again, you got some extra filling. There's obviously enough for more mushrooms here. You could eat that right out of the bowl. I promise you, it's going to be delicious. We're going to go ahead and top these with panko. We're going to take them back out to our grill, which is at 400 degrees. We're going to cook them long enough just for the cheese to melt. We're going to go ahead and top them with a little bit of panko for some crunch. That's it. They're ready for the grill. Let's head on out. All right, we're going to place these on the grill. Give these just a few minutes to melt that cheese and we'll be just waiting for them to cool off. It's been just a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and grab these off of here. Take your time, folks. Don't waste one of those goodies. We're back inside. The worst part about this recipe is allowing these mushrooms to cool down so they don't burn your mouth. They're filled with a lot of hot water from those mushrooms, so take time to let them cool down if you can. My mouth is literally watering right now. I'm gonna go ahead and slice one of these in half and go in for that bite. The key again is to cook that mushroom all the way through. There's almost just as much Dove there as there is mushrooms. Let's go in for that bite. So well balanced. The mushroom is cooked thoroughly, so it's not giving you that hard, firm texture. Just enough bacon in there for you to taste it, but not overpowering. You can totally taste the texture of the Dove. These big ones here, again, knife and fork for a dinner. If you want to have a special guest over, if you want to really impress someone this Dove season, make sure to try this Dove stuffed mushroom recipe. Check it out.